It was a typical Tuesday morning in downtown San Francisco, the bustling city streets filled with the usual hum of activity. People rushed to work, eyes glued to their phones, lost in their own thoughts. But amidst the chaos, a young girl stood alone on a street corner, her hands trembling as she clutched a bouquet of flowers. The colors were vibrant, a beautiful contrast to the gray concrete of the city. She was just another face in the crowd, unnoticed by most. But little did she know, this day would change her life forever. Elon Musk, one of the world's most innovative minds, was walking down the same street. He had just stepped out of a meeting at a nearby tech conference, his thoughts already racing ahead to the next big project. He was busy, always thinking about the future, about colonizing Mars, about revolutionizing the world with electric cars and artificial intelligence. Yet, on this particular morning, as he walked past the girl selling flowers, something caught his attention. It wasn't the bright petals she was holding in her hand, nor was it her small, fragile frame. It was the look in her eyes, a mixture of hope and desperation, as though she was on the verge of giving up. The world around her moved at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but she stood there, frozen, waiting for someone, anyone, to take notice of her. Elon paused. His mind, typically preoccupied with the grandest of ambitions, couldn't shake the feeling that this was a moment meant to be. He walked towards the girl, something deep inside him telling him to do something he had never done before, to stop, to listen, to offer help in a way that was far removed from his usual world of space rockets and billion-dollar ventures. The girl, startled by his approach, looked up at him. She had been so used to people ignoring her, walking past without a second glance, that when a man in a sharp suit stopped in front of her, she couldn't believe it. For a moment, she thought he might ask her to move out of the way. But instead, he smiled.
"I'll buy all your flowers."
All of them.
"Every last one. But not just that. I want to do more. I want to help you."
In that moment, the world seemed to slow down. The busy noise of the city, the honking horns, the chattering crowds, it all faded into the background as the girl's heart raced. This wasn't just any passerby. This was Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur whose name had been in the headlines for years. The founder of Tesla, the visionary behind SpaceX, and someone whose very presence seemed larger than life. But here he was, standing in front of her, offering help, not just for a moment, but in a way that could change her life forever.
"I want to help you with more than just selling flowers. I want to help you pursue your dreams. I want to fund your education."
The girl's mouth went dry, her thoughts racing as she tried to process what was happening. She had always dreamed of becoming something more than just a street vendor, of escaping the cycle of poverty that had trapped her family for generations. But with no money, no connections, and no formal education, those dreams felt so distant. And yet here, before her, stood a man who could make those dreams a reality. The weight of what he was offering began to sink in. This wasn't just a random act of kindness. This was an opportunity to transform her future. Elon wasn't just offering to buy flowers. He was offering to open doors that had always seemed closed to her. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Her eyes filled with tears, a mix of gratitude and disbelief. She had been fighting so hard for so long just to survive, just to get by. But now, she realized she didn't have to fight alone. I don't know what to say.
"You don't have to say anything. Just let me help."
The girl stood frozen for a few seconds, processing Elon's offer. Her mind raced as she tried to understand the gravity of the situation. Was this real? Could someone like Elon Musk, someone with billions of dollars and the power to change the world, actually be offering to help her? It felt surreal, like a dream she might wake up from at any moment. The busy street continued to rush by, indifferent to the small exchange that was taking place. But in that moment, it felt like the entire world had paused, just for her. She looked at Elon, and a tear escaped her eye. She quickly wiped it away, embarrassed, not wanting to seem weak in front of someone who could change her entire life. "Thank you, but why? Why me?" Elon gave a small, knowing smile. He understood her skepticism. After all, Why would someone like him care about a young girl selling flowers on the street? It was a question he had asked himself many times over the years as he built his empire. Why him? Why Tesla? Why SpaceX? The world was full of problems, and yet he had chosen to tackle some of the biggest and most impossible ones. But in this moment, he realized that sometimes the most meaningful impact could come from the smallest acts of kindness.
You remind me of someone. When I was younger, I struggled too. I didn't come from money, and the odds were stacked against me. But I believed in the power of education, of learning, and of never giving up. It made all the difference.
You struggled.
Yes. It wasn't always easy. But I was lucky enough to have people who helped me along the way. And now, I want to do the same for others. I know what it's like to feel like you don't have a way out, to feel like you're invisible to the world.
The girl felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had spent so many years feeling invisible, as though she was just another person on the street. Her life had been a constant struggle, and she had almost given up on the idea that anything could change. But here was someone who saw her, who understood her, and who was offering her an opportunity to change the course of her life. Elon reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card.
Here's my contact information. I want you to reach out to me. We'll set up a plan to get you into school, help you with everything you need. I'll cover all the costs.
The girl looked at the card, her hands shaking as she took it from him. It felt like a lifeline, something she could hold on to when the world seemed too big and too unforgiving. She had always dreamed of going to school, of having a chance to learn, to build a future for herself that didn't involve struggling every day just to survive. But that dream had always felt too far away, too unrealistic. Until now. I don't even know where to begin. This is more than I could ever hope for.
You don't have to know everything right now. The first step is believing that you deserve a chance. The rest will fall into place.
As he handed her the card, their eyes locked, and for the first time in a long while, the girl felt seen. She didn't know where this journey would take her, but she knew it would be different from anything she had ever imagined. The girl, whose name was Sophia, stood there on the street corner, still holding Elon's business card in her trembling hand. Her heart raced with excitement, disbelief, and a surge of hope she hadn't felt in years. The flowers she had once sold as a means of survival suddenly seemed insignificant, and the street corner where she had spent countless hours felt like a distant memory. Elon smiled one last time before turning to leave.
Take care of yourself, Sophia. We'll talk soon.
With that, he was gone, blending into the crowds of the city, his presence fading just as quickly as it had appeared. But the impact of that brief interaction would last a lifetime. Sophia stood there for a while, still processing the enormity of what had just happened. She could hardly believe it. Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur behind some of the world's most groundbreaking companies, had stopped in the middle of his busy day to help her. A girl who had nothing but a few bouquets of flowers and a dream of something more. It felt like a fairy tale, too good to be true. But then the weight of his words sank in. He hadn't just bought her flowers. He had given her an opportunity, a real chance to change her life. Education, the key to a better future. She took a deep breath and pulled out her phone, hands still shaking. The contact information on the business card was simple: an email address, a phone number, and a website linked to his foundation. It was a direct line to someone who could make her dreams come true. Sophia had always been a fighter. She had grown up in a small apartment with her single mother, struggling to make ends meet. Her mother worked multiple jobs, but it was never enough. Sophia had dropped out of high school to help support her family, and over the years, she had convinced herself that education was a luxury she couldn't afford. But now, for the first time in her life, it felt like she might have a real shot at it. Without wasting another moment, Sophia pulled up her email and began typing. She shared her story, her struggles, her dreams, and her hopes for a brighter future. She couldn't help but wonder if Elon would really follow through. Would he really help her? Or was it just a passing moment of kindness that would be forgotten? She hit send and sat back, staring at the screen. She felt both excited and terrified. The uncertainty was overwhelming, But she also felt a sense of empowerment she had never experienced before. For the first time in her life, she had a choice. A few days passed without a word. Sophia continued to sell flowers on the street, her mind distracted by the possibilities Elon's offer had opened up. She felt an odd mix of anticipation and doubt. What if nothing came of it? What if he had forgotten about her? Then, one afternoon, as she was preparing to pack up for the day, her phone buzzed. The email notification flashed across the screen. It was from Elon Musk. Her hands were shaking as she opened the message.
Hi, Sophia. Thank you for reaching out. I've read your story, and I'm impressed by your determination and resilience. I would be happy to support your education. We'll need to arrange everything soon. Let's set up a meeting. I look forward to helping you achieve your dreams. Elon Musk.
The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. She had been so sure it was a long shot, but here was the confirmation. The help she needed was coming, and her life was about to change in ways she couldn't even begin to imagine. Sophia's excitement was palpable as she called the number Elon had provided. It felt surreal, the way everything had unfolded so quickly. She had been a young girl with a few flowers, standing on the side of the street, and now she was on the verge of a life-altering transformation. The phone rang, and her heart pounded in her chest. Would this be the moment everything changed? The voice on the other end of the line was calm and friendly.
Hello, this is Elon Musk's office. How can I help you?
Sophia took a deep breath and introduced herself. She could hardly contain her excitement as she explained what had happened and how she was eager to take the next steps. We've been expecting your call.
Let's schedule a meeting with Mr. Musk as soon as possible to discuss your education plans. We want to help you succeed.
When she arrived at the door to Elon's office, her heart was racing. A secretary smiled at her and led her inside. The room was minimalist, yet filled with cutting-edge technology and a stunning view of the valley below. And there, sitting behind a desk, was Elon Musk, the man whose vision had changed the world in ways few could have ever imagined.
Hi, Sophia, Elon said with a warm smile as he stood to greet her. It's great to finally meet you in person.
Sophia felt a rush of emotion at the sound of his voice, a blend of gratitude, awe, and a little bit of disbelief. She had never imagined this moment, let alone this setting. She smiled nervously, her palms slightly damp as she extended her hand.
Elon waved off the formalities. Please, just call me Elon. No need for the formalities. We're here to talk about you and your future.
They both took a seat across from each other, and Elon began asking her questions. He wanted to know about her background, where she came from, what challenges she had faced, and what her aspirations were. Sophia told her story. The struggles of growing up in a low-income neighborhood, dropping out of school to help her family, and how she had never given up on the dream of education, even though it seemed out of reach. She spoke about her love of learning, how she had always been curious about the world, but lacked the resources to pursue her interests.
I've always wanted to be more than this, Sophia said, her voice quiet but determined. I've always wanted to go to school, to be someone who can make a real difference. But the reality is, I don't have the money, the support, or the connections to make it happen.
Elon listened intently, his expression thoughtful. You know, I've always believed that the most important thing anyone can do is believe in themselves. It sounds like you've already done that. You've survived against all odds, and that's something most people never have to go through. Sophia felt a lump form in her throat at his words. It was strange, hearing someone like Elon Musk, someone whose life had been shaped by incredible achievements, acknowledge her struggles in such a meaningful way.
What do you want to study? Elon asked, leaning forward, his eyes full of interest.
I want to study engineering, Sophia replied, her voice gaining strength. I've always been fascinated by how things work, how technology can change the world. I want to be part of that, to make a difference in a way that's bigger than myself.
Elon smiled. Engineering, huh? I think that's a great choice. It's one of the fields that's shaping the future of humanity. I'm glad to hear that's your dream.
For the next hour, they discussed her plans, the schools she could apply to, and how Elon's foundation could help her financially. The conversation was open, honest, and filled with the type of encouragement that Sophia had never experienced before. Elon spoke about the importance of persistence, of not being afraid to fail, and of the impact that education could have on the world. As the meeting drew to a close, Elon stood up and extended his hand once more. "Sophia, I'm excited to see where this journey takes you. You've got the right mindset, and I believe in your potential. I'll make sure that your education is fully funded, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure you succeed." This is just the beginning. Sophia felt a wave of emotions flood over her: relief, gratitude, and excitement. She had come into this meeting with nothing but a dream, and now she was leaving with the promise of a future that was within her reach. As Sophia left the office, walking down the same halls she had entered with so many doubts, she felt an overwhelming sense of possibility. Her dreams were no longer just dreams. They were plans, ones that were finally within her grasp. The road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, Sophia felt ready. She had a purpose, a direction, and someone who believed in her. And that was all she needed to begin her journey. With the meeting behind her, Sophia embarked on the journey of a lifetime. The road ahead was still filled with uncertainty, but for the first time, she had a clear path forward. Elon's promise to support her education was more than just a lifeline. It was a catalyst for change in every aspect of her life. But as Sophia soon discovered, the journey toward her dreams would not be without its challenges. She enrolled in the best engineering school she could get into, thanks to the financial support that Elon's foundation had promised. The transition from being a street vendor to a student in a prestigious academic environment was more difficult than Sophia had anticipated. The world of academia was unlike anything she had ever known. She was surrounded by students who had come from wealthy families, who had attended private schools, and who had the kind of resources Sophia could only dream of. There were moments when she felt like an outsider, overwhelmed by the competition, the expectations, and the relentless pace of university life. But she never let herself forget why she was there. She reminded herself every day that she wasn't just doing this for herself. She was doing it for her family, for the people who had supported her even when they had nothing. She wasn't going to let Elon's belief in her go to waste. She wasn't going to let herself fail. Sophia worked tirelessly, dedicating long hours to studying, pushing herself beyond her limits. There were times when she doubted herself, when she struggled to keep up with her peers, when the pressure of exams seemed unbearable, and when the weight of the expectations she had placed on herself felt too heavy. There were moments when she wanted to give up, to walk away from it all and return to the familiar, simple life of selling flowers on the street. But then, when those thoughts crept into her mind, she would think of Elon and the promise he had made to her. She thought of the way he had looked at her, the belief in his eyes, and the words he had spoken: "You've got the right mindset, and I believe in your potential." It was that belief that kept her going. In her second year, Sophia faced her biggest challenge yet. She was struggling to keep up with the rigorous coursework, and it felt like her efforts weren't enough. She had been working part-time to support herself, but it wasn't enough to cover all her expenses. One night, while studying late in the library, she received an email from Elon's team. It was a reminder of her progress, a check-in to see how things were going. The email contained words of encouragement, reminding her that setbacks were just part of the journey. Sophia stared at the email for a long time, her heart swelling with emotion. It wasn't just the financial support that had gotten her this far. It was the belief that someone who had already achieved so much was still cheering her on, someone who truly cared about her success. That email reignited a fire within her, and she felt more determined than ever to push through. With renewed resolve, Sophia began to seek out help. She reached out to her professors, attended extra tutoring sessions, and started working even harder to master the material. Slowly but surely, she began to improve. She no longer felt like an outsider. She felt like she belonged. By the end of her third year, Sophia had become one of the top students in her class. Her grades were excellent, but more importantly, she had gained something even more valuable: confidence. She no longer doubted her place in the academic world. She was an engineer in the making, a force to be reckoned with. And through it all, Elon was there, He wasn't just funding her education, he was mentoring her from afar, offering advice and guidance whenever she needed it. There were times when Sophia had questions about her studies, or about how to navigate the challenges of being a woman in a male-dominated field, and Elon would take the time to answer her emails, offering thoughtful insights. Sophia's story had begun as a tale of unexpected kindness, but it was quickly becoming a story of perseverance, self-discovery, and triumph. She had proven to herself, and to everyone around her, that the dreams she once thought were impossible were now within reach. The same flowers she had once sold on the street corner had become a symbol of her growth and transformation. They were no longer just a way to survive. They were a reminder of the girl who had dreamed big, who had fought hard, and who had been given the chance to change her life. As Sophia approached her graduation day, she reflected on the incredible journey she had taken. She had faced countless obstacles, but she had overcome them with the support of Elon and the belief she had found in herself. She was about to graduate with a degree in engineering, and the possibilities before her seemed endless. But the most important lesson she had learned was this: no matter where you come from, no matter the challenges you face, you are capable of achieving greatness. With the right support, the right mindset, and a relentless determination, anything is possible. Sophia's graduation day arrived like a dream. The large auditorium was filled with students, parents, professors, and dignitaries, all gathered to celebrate the hard-earned achievements of those who had persevered through years of rigorous study. As she walked across the stage to accept her diploma, Sophia felt a sense of accomplishment that she had never experienced before. The applause that echoed through the hall was a sound she had fought for, a recognition of her journey from the streets to one of the most prestigious engineering schools in the country. But as Sophia stood there, holding her degree in her hands, she couldn't help but think of the people who had helped her get to this point. Her mother, who had worked tirelessly to support her, even when it meant sacrificing her own dreams. The professors who had pushed her beyond what she thought was possible. And, of course, Elon Musk, whose belief in her had ignited a fire that kept her going through the toughest times. As she walked out of the ceremony, the world outside seemed to buzz with endless possibilities. But Sophia knew that this was just the beginning. She had worked so hard to get to this point, but now it was time to prove that she could make a real impact. She wasn't just a product of her circumstances. She was a testament to the power of education and determination. The next few months were a whirlwind of interviews, job applications, and networking. Sophia had received multiple offers from top tech companies, but none of them felt quite right. While the positions were lucrative and promised a stable future, Sophia wasn't sure she wanted to simply follow in the footsteps of others. She wanted to create something new, something that could change the world in the same way that Elon's companies had changed industries. One evening, as Sophia sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through job postings, she received an unexpected email. It was from Elon's team. They had been following her progress and were impressed by her accomplishments. They wanted to offer her a position at one of his newest ventures, a company that was focused on renewable energy and sustainable technologies. The position was more than just a job. It was a chance to be part of something groundbreaking, something that could make a lasting impact on the planet. Elon had always spoken about changing the world through innovation, and now Sophia had the opportunity to be a part of that vision. She didn't hesitate. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment when everything she had worked for would finally come together. The first few months at the new company were overwhelming. Sophia was thrust into high-stakes projects, working with brilliant engineers and entrepreneurs who were just as passionate about sustainability and innovation as she was. She faced challenges, of course. There were technical hurdles, long hours, and moments of self-doubt. But unlike her time in school, where she often felt like an outsider, Sophia felt at home here. She was surrounded by people who believed in her, people who recognized her potential, and who pushed her to achieve more than she thought possible. One particular project stood out among the rest. The company was working on a new solar technology that promised to revolutionize the energy industry. Sophia had been tasked with leading the design and development of a new prototype, and the pressure was immense. She worked day and night, collaborating with her team, troubleshooting, testing, and refining the design. There were moments when things didn't go as planned, and the weight of responsibility felt unbearable. But Sophia remembered everything she had learned, from Elon's encouragement to the struggles she had faced growing up. She knew she couldn't give up. After months of hard work, the prototype was finally ready for testing. Sophia watched nervously as the engineers flipped the switch, holding their breath as the system powered up. For a few moments, nothing happened. But then, the solar panels came to life, generating more energy than anyone had anticipated. The room erupted into applause, and Sophia's heart swelled with pride. This wasn't just a success for the company, it was a success for her. She had been part of something that could change the future of energy, something that could have a lasting impact on the world.
Elon called her into his office the next day. His expression was serious, but there was a gleam in his eye. "Sophia," he said. Sophia smiled, her chest swelling with pride. This was the moment she had worked for, the culmination of everything she had been through.
It wasn't just about the technology, it was about the people who had believed in her, the people who had supported her when no one else did. As she left Elon's office that day, Sophia felt like she had finally found her place in the world. She had come a long way from the street corner where she had sold flowers, and she knew that her journey was far from over. There were still challenges ahead, but she was no longer afraid. She was an engineer, a problem solver, and a change maker. And most importantly, she had the power to shape the future. As Sophia settled into her new role at the company, her confidence grew. She had always known that she wanted to make a difference in the world, but now, with the support of Elon and a team of brilliant minds, she was beginning to see the tangible impact of her work. The solar technology project that had been her first major task became a game changer, attracting attention from environmental organizations, governments, and investors alike. The prototype's success didn't just mark a personal triumph for Sophia, it set off a ripple effect, sparking a movement toward more sustainable energy solutions. But the deeper Sophia got into the world of innovation and technology, the more she realized that her journey was not just about professional achievement. It was also about inspiring others, especially young girls and marginalized groups who, like her, might have been told that their dreams were too big, too impossible. She had defied the odds, and now she had the chance to encourage others to do the same. Sophia began speaking at conferences and workshops, sharing her story and her experiences with the next generation of engineers and innovators. She spoke about the importance of perseverance, of pushing through setbacks, and of staying true to one's vision, even when it seemed out of reach. Her story resonated with many. She wasn't just a successful engineer, she was a beacon of hope for those who had been told they couldn't make it. At one particular event, a young woman came up to Sophia after her speech, tears in her eyes. "I don't know what to say," she said, her voice trembling. "Your story is exactly like mine. I'm just a girl from a poor neighborhood, and I've always wanted to be an engineer, but I didn't think it was possible. Hearing you talk today, it gives me hope." Sophia smiled, her heart swelling with pride. This was why she had pushed through the hardest times in her life, to be a source of inspiration for others, to show them that their dreams were worth fighting for. It wasn't just young women who were inspired by Sophia's story. One day, she received an unexpected call from a group of high school students who were working on a community project focused on renewable energy. They had heard about Sophia's success and wanted to know how they could make a real impact in their own neighborhoods. "Are you willing to help us?" the student leader asked, his voice full of hope. "We want to design a solar-powered water system for our community. We've got the ideas, but we don't know where to start. Could you guide us?" Sophia didn't hesitate. She knew this was an opportunity to give back, to use her knowledge and experience to help others take the first step toward making their own mark on the world. She agreed to mentor the group, providing guidance, advice, and resources as they worked on their project. Over the next few months, Sophia worked closely with the students, helping them design the system, connect with local suppliers, and secure funding. The project became a success, not just because of the technology they implemented, but because it empowered the students to see the impact they could have in their own community. They had turned their dream into a reality, and Sophia had played a key role in making it happen. The project became a model for other communities, a shining example of what could be accomplished when people came together to solve real-world problems. Sophia had always believed in the power of innovation to change the world, but now she was seeing it firsthand. The ripple effect of one person's journey could touch countless lives. As the months passed, Sophia's reputation as an innovator and leader continued to grow. She was invited to speak at major tech conferences, where she shared her insights on the future of sustainable technology and the importance of diversity in STEM fields. She was featured in articles, podcasts, and documentaries, and everywhere she went, people told her that her story had changed their perspective on what was possible. But no matter how many accolades she received, Sophia remained humble. She never forgot where she came from, and she never lost sight of the people who had helped her along the way. Elon's initial act of kindness had been the catalyst for everything that followed, but Sophia knew that her own determination, hard work, and the support of others had been what truly brought her success. One day, while walking through the company's office, Sophia was stopped by a colleague who had been with her from the beginning of her journey. "Sophia, I just wanted to say thank you," they said. "You've inspired so many of us here. You've shown us what's possible when we believe in ourselves and don't give up." And just like that, Sophia's life took a turn for the better. The uncertainty that had once loomed over her every step was slowly being replaced with a firm foundation of opportunity. The following week, Sophia found herself in a world entirely different from the one she had known. She had been given a chance, a rare opportunity to meet Elon Musk in person and discuss the future that was now within her reach. The meeting was set up at one of his offices in the heart of Silicon Valley, a place known for its cutting-edge innovation, but to Sophia, it felt like stepping into a dream. Her nerves were on edge as she walked through the sleek, modern halls of the building, passing by people who seemed to be in a hurry, their conversations filled with jargon and plans for the next big thing. To them, this was just another day. But for Sophia, it was a moment she had never imagined would come. She had spent days trying to figure out how to present herself, what to say, how to act, what kind of impression she should make. She wanted to show Elon that she was worthy of his investment, that she wasn't just a young girl who had been given a chance. She was someone who could take that chance and run with it, someone who could turn her dreams into reality. Sophia's journey had come full circle. From the young girl selling flowers on the street to a leader in the world of sustainable innovation, she had proven that with the right support, determination, and vision, anything was possible. But her story wasn't just about personal success. It was about creating a legacy of empowerment, about inspiring others to chase their dreams, no matter where they came from. As Sophia continued to push the boundaries of what was possible, she never forgot the simple lesson that had guided her from the very beginning. The future is shaped by those who believe in it, and the ripple effect of one person's dream can change the world. As Sophia's influence grew within the company and the industry at large, she began to realize that her work could extend far beyond the projects she was currently leading. She had always been driven by a desire to create, but now, with the recognition and resources at her disposal, she had the opportunity to take on larger, more ambitious goals. Her heart had always been in innovation, but more importantly, it was in making a lasting, positive impact on the world. One evening, as Sophia sat in her office, she reflected on everything she had achieved over the past few years. She had designed cutting-edge solar technology, helped build sustainable energy systems for underserved communities, and mentored young innovators. She had gone from the street corner to leading teams in one of the world's most innovative companies, yet there was still more she wanted to accomplish. The world was full of challenges, and Sophia knew that her true potential lay in solving the problems that no one else dared to tackle. Her mind wandered to the future. She envisioned a world where clean energy was available to every corner of the globe, where technology wasn't just an industry, but a movement for global good. It was a world where innovation wasn't limited to a select few, but was accessible to everyone, regardless of their background or financial status. That's when it hit her. What if she could expand the reach of her work even further? What if she could start a non-profit organization that would empower young engineers, inventors, and innovators from around the world, just like she had once been? She could create a global platform where people from underserved communities could receive the education, resources, and mentorship they needed to bring their ideas to life. The idea took root quickly. Sophia knew that education was the foundation for everything she had achieved, and she was determined to help others build on that same foundation. She envisioned a world where anyone, regardless of where they came from, could access the tools and support they needed to change their own lives and, by extension, change the world. It wasn't just about teaching students the principles of engineering or technology. It was about creating a global network of changemakers. She could offer scholarships, mentorship programs, and hands-on training opportunities. She could partner with schools, organizations, and businesses to create real-world projects that would allow young people to apply their knowledge in ways that would make a difference in their communities. Sophia began laying the groundwork for her new initiative, reaching out to Elon and other industry leaders for support. She knew that with the right backing, her vision could become a reality. Elon was immediately on board, offering both financial support and a network of resources to help her get the nonprofit off the ground. The next few months were a whirlwind of planning, organizing, and forging partnerships with educational institutions, technology companies, and local governments. The nonprofit, named Innovators for Change, was launched with a mission to provide underrepresented communities with the tools they needed to thrive in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics (STEM). The focus was on accessibility and opportunity. By leveraging cutting-edge technology, Sophia's organization was able to create virtual classrooms, interactive workshops, and an online platform where students could access free educational content, collaborate with peers, and receive mentorship from industry experts. The impact was immediate. Within the first year, the nonprofit had provided scholarships to over 500 students in rural and underserved communities across the world. Sophia's vision was becoming a reality. She watched as young innovators, many of whom had faced the same obstacles she had, began to find their own voices, their own dreams, and their own paths to success. Sophia traveled the world, visiting schools and communities that had partnered with Innovators for Change. Everywhere she went, she saw the spark of possibility in the eyes of the students. She saw the same hunger for knowledge and the same drive that had carried her from the streets of San Francisco to the forefront of the renewable energy movement. One day, while visiting a school in a remote village in Africa, Sophia met a young girl named Amina. Amina, no older than 15, had taught herself to code using a smartphone app, despite having no formal access to a computer. She had built a prototype for a solar-powered water filtration system, something that could change the lives of thousands in her village. When Sophia heard Amina's story, she was overwhelmed with emotion. Amina had done all of this on her own, with minimal resources and no formal education, simply because she had the determination to solve a problem she saw in her community. Sophia knew that with the right resources, Amina could become a force for change, just as she had. Sophia offered Amina a scholarship to the Innovators for Change program, where she would receive the training and support she needed to refine her idea and bring it to life. Amina's face lit up with joy, and Sophia couldn't help but feel proud. This was what her work was all about, empowering others to follow their dreams, to find solutions to the world's most pressing problems, and to break down the barriers that held them back. As Sophia continued to grow Innovators for Change, she saw how her organization was becoming a powerful tool for social transformation. It wasn't just about technology or business, it was about people. It was about creating a movement where every individual, no matter their background or circumstance, had the opportunity to make a difference. And as she stood in the classroom with Amina, looking at the future through the eyes of young, bright minds, Sophia realized that this was her true legacy. She had changed the course of her own life, and now she was helping others do the same. The ripple effect that had started with a single act of kindness from Elon Musk had expanded beyond anything she could have imagined. The world was changing, and Sophia was helping to lead the way. The success of Innovators for Change continued to grow at an exponential rate. What started as a small nonprofit had quickly transformed into a global movement, one that had touched the lives of thousands of young people in underserved communities all over the world. Sophia's dream of creating accessible education and mentorship for those who had been overlooked was becoming a reality, and it was having an impact that far surpassed anything she could have imagined. As the organization expanded, Sophia realized that the true power of innovators for change lay in its ability to unite people from different corners of the world, all working toward the same goal: a more sustainable, equitable future. The nonprofit had brought together students, educators, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists, all collaborating on groundbreaking projects that ranged from renewable energy solutions to innovative agricultural practices. One of the most notable achievements of the organization was its partnership with a large coalition of tech companies, governments, and NGOs to create a global accelerator program for clean technology startups. This initiative offered funding, mentorship, and resources to young innovators who were working on projects that could tackle some of the world's most pressing issues, such as climate change, access to clean water, and energy poverty. The accelerator program quickly became a launching pad for numerous transformative ideas. Young engineers from Brazil, India, Kenya, and the Philippines presented technologies that were not only innovative but also scalable, designed to solve problems specific to their regions. These startups had the potential to revolutionize entire industries, creating new jobs, improving living standards, and contributing to global sustainability goals. Sophia couldn't be more proud of what had been accomplished, but she also knew that the work was far from over. Every time she saw a new project take flight, every time she spoke to a young innovator who was on the cusp of making a real change, she was reminded of the significance of her own journey. The journey that had begun with a simple act of kindness and a belief in the power of education. But for Sophia, this wasn't just about creating a nonprofit or achieving personal success. It was about sparking a movement that would live on far beyond her. She knew that Innovators for Change was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one that involved governments, businesses, communities, and individuals all coming together to create lasting change. One of the most fulfilling aspects of Sophia's journey was seeing the impact on the next generation of engineers and entrepreneurs. It was a beautiful, cyclical process. The students who had benefited from the program were now becoming mentors themselves, passing on the knowledge and support that had been given to them. Sophia had built a community of changemakers, and it was growing stronger every day. In one particularly poignant moment, during a gathering of Innovators for Change alumni, Sophia met a young man named Omar. Omar had grown up in a refugee camp with limited access to education and basic resources. Despite the hardships, he had always been fascinated by technology. When he discovered Innovators for Change, he had joined the program, and through the mentorship and support, he had developed a groundbreaking solution for affordable housing, using sustainable materials and innovative construction techniques. Omar's project was gaining traction, and he had already secured funding to begin building the first prototype. When he spoke to the alumni group about his journey, Sophia couldn't help but feel overwhelmed with emotion. Omar's success was a testament to everything that Innovators for Change stood for. It was about giving people the opportunity to reach their full potential, no matter where they came from or what obstacles they faced. Later that evening, Sophia sat down with Omar for a conversation. She wanted to know more about his journey, his ideas, and what had inspired him to push through the difficult times. Omar's response was simple but profound.
"I didn't have anything," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "But I had a dream, and then I had the tools to make that dream a reality. You gave me that, Sophia. You gave all of us that."
Sophia smiled, knowing that this was why she had fought so hard to create the organization in the first place, to offer the tools and opportunities that had once been out of reach to so many. As the years passed, Innovators for Change became a key player in global efforts to tackle the most urgent challenges facing the world. The nonprofit partnered with international organizations, universities, and industry leaders to create large-scale initiatives that focused on sustainable development, energy access, and social equity. Sophia's name became synonymous with innovation, education, and empowerment. But even as the nonprofit grew, Sophia remained grounded in her mission. She had never lost sight of the young girl who had once stood on a street corner, selling flowers to make ends meet. That girl was still with her, driving her to never settle, to always push for more, and to always believe that a better future was possible. And as she traveled the world, meeting with young innovators, supporting new projects, and witnessing the change that was unfolding, Sophia knew that her work was far from finished. She had created a movement, but the true power of that movement was in the hands of the next generation, people like Amina, Omar, and the countless others whose names she had yet to learn, but whose work would shape the future in ways she could never have predicted. Innovators for Change had started with a dream to empower people, to open doors, and to provide opportunities. And that dream was now a reality, living on in the hearts and minds of those who had dared to believe that anything was possible. Years had passed since Sophia had stood at the helm of Innovators for Change, guiding it from a fledgling organization into a global movement that had transformed thousands of lives. The nonprofit had touched communities from the deserts of Africa to the jungles of South America, providing education, mentorship, and opportunities that had never been available to the young minds who needed them the most. Sophia had become a global leader, known for her innovative ideas and her commitment to empowering the next generation of changemakers. But despite all her accomplishments, Sophia knew that the work was far from done. She had achieved more than she had ever imagined, but the world still faced enormous challenges. Climate change, inequality, access to education. These were just a few of the issues that needed to be addressed, and Sophia knew that the best way to solve them was through collaboration and innovation. It was on one such occasion, during an international summit on climate change in Geneva, that Sophia found herself standing alongside other influential figures in the world of technology, education, and global development. The summit was a culmination of years of effort, bringing together the brightest minds to discuss and address the world's most pressing issues. As Sophia took her seat at the round table, she couldn't help but reflect on how far she had come, from the street corner where she had once sold flowers, to the grand halls of global summits, to now being part of the conversation on the future of the planet. The conversation that day was focused on how innovation and education could come together to create sustainable solutions for future generations. And as she listened to the discussions, Sophia couldn't help but think back to the young people she had met along the way, Amina, Omar, and so many others who were already changing the world in ways that would have been unimaginable when they first started. Sophia had often said that innovation wasn't just about technology, it was about people. It was about using technology to solve real-world problems, to break down barriers, and to give everyone a chance to succeed. The work Innovators for Change had done was not just about producing clean energy or groundbreaking inventions. It was about creating a mindset, a culture, where the impossible was made possible, where everyone had access to the tools and support they needed to turn their ideas into reality. And as she listened to the voices around the table, Sophia realized something important. The world was finally starting to shift. The conversations were no longer just about challenges. They were about solutions. People were starting to understand that innovation was the key to overcoming the most pressing global issues. It was no longer just a conversation for the privileged few. It was a conversation for everyone. When the discussion turned to the next steps, the future of clean energy, and how to scale sustainable solutions on a global level, Sophia was asked to share her thoughts. She stood up, the weight of the moment settling in, but her voice unwavering as she addressed the room. Throughout my journey, I've learned one thing. The future isn't just about creating the next big thing. It's about creating a future that's inclusive, where everyone has the opportunity to be a part of it. Where the bright minds of tomorrow, no matter where they come from, have access to education, mentorship, and the tools they need to succeed. She paused, looking around at the faces in the room, some of the most powerful people in the world, and smiled. The innovation we need is already out there. It's in the hands of the young people we're supporting today. What we need to do now is to give them the resources, the platform, and the encouragement to make it happen. The room fell silent for a moment, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Sophia knew that she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for all the young innovators around the world who were still waiting for their chance. For all the Aminas and Omars who had the ideas, the passion, and the determination to make the world a better place, but just needed a helping hand to get there. And as the conversation continued, Sophia felt a sense of peace. She had started this journey with a simple dream: to change the world by helping others reach their potential. And now, years later, she could see the impact of that dream in the eyes of the students she had mentored, the projects that had come to life, and the global movement that was taking shape. Her legacy wasn't just about the success of innovators for change or the impact she had made in the world of renewable energy. It was about the ripple effect she had started, a ripple that had turned into a tidal wave of hope, innovation, and opportunity. As the summit came to a close, Sophia stepped outside into the crisp air, her heart full. She had played a part in something much larger than herself. The world was changing, and she had helped ignite that change. But there was more to be done. And as she looked toward the horizon, Sophia knew that the future was bright. For her, for the young innovators she had empowered, and for the world they would continue to shape together. The journey had started with a young girl selling flowers on a street corner, unsure of where life would take her. But it had led to something much bigger: a movement, a legacy, and a future where everyone had the chance to make their dreams come true. And as long as Sophia had breath in her lungs, she would continue to fight for that future, one innovation, one idea, and one change at a time.